They say libraries are places of quiet contemplation. That's true, mostly. But not all silence is peaceful. My name's Robert Hayes. I'm 67 years old. For the past 9 years, I've been the night security guard at Fairhaven Municipal Library. You've probably never heard of it. Tucked away in a dying industrial town, crumbling brick and ivy eating the edges of its stone frame. I took the job after retirement because I didn't like being home. My wife passed, the house was too quiet, and my kids only visited on birthdays. So, when the town posted a job for a night guard at the library, I applied. The pay was laughable. The hours were worse. But it gave me purpose. My first day, the daytime librarian, a thin, tight-lipped woman named Mrs. Clennon, told me 3 things before she left. Always lock the East Wing reading room at 10:45 p.m. sharp. Never enter the basement archives after 11 p.m. If you hear the bell in the lobby chime past midnight, do not go to check it. I laughed. She didn't. Just like Grady at the cemetery. Same cold warning behind the eyes. Fairhaven Library has no public bells, by the way. Just a cracked grandfather clock in the front lobby, long frozen at 6:41. The first few weeks were dead quiet. I'd sit at the front desk, read the old logs, sip burnt coffee from the vending machine, and make hourly rounds. The air always felt heavy. Like something was asleep and didn't want to be disturbed. On my 19th night, I got careless. The East Wing reading room was unlocked at 10:47. I didn't think it mattered. At 11:23 p.m., the motion sensor in the East Wing blinked red. I thought maybe a raccoon had slipped in. I grabbed my flashlight and checked the room. No animals. Just a single open book on the long oak table. One I hadn't seen before. It was thick. Bound in leather that smelled like rot. No title. I flipped it open. Every page was filled with names. Thousands. Maybe more. Handwritten. In blood red ink. The last name on the last page read. Robert Hayes. I slammed it shut and backed out. Locked the door behind me. I didn't sleep that morning. The next night, 10:45 p.m. sharp, I locked that door. And every night since. The basement always made my skin crawl. Cement steps led down into cold blackness. Shelves of old tomes, microfilm, and catalog drawers stretched endlessly in the dark. The place smelled of mold and wet stone. I never went down there after 11. Not because of Mrs. Clennon's warning, but because I felt watched. One night, I stayed late in the break room eating stale crackers and listening to a radio station that only played static with faint whispers underneath. I lost track of time. By the time I looked up, it was 11:08. I heard the basement door creak. Not open. Just creak. Then, faint footsteps. Not boots like mine. Bare feet. Slapping against the tile. I stood. Flashlight in hand. The air had turned ice cold. Hello? I called, breaking my own rule. The static from the radio turned into a voice. You left the door open. I spun around. No one was there. The hallway was empty. But the basement door was now open. I should have locked it. I always lock it. I approached slowly. The stairs descended into pitch black. I heard breathing. Not mine. Then a voice. We remember what you forgot. I slammed the door and threw the deadbolt. The next morning, I went down at 9 a.m. with the janitor, Pete. He's half deaf and mostly drunk, but solid. The light flickered the entire time. We found nothing. But the catalog drawer labeled Hayes, Robert had been pulled open. Inside, a small, black book. Titleless. Just one entry inside. You locked the door, but opened your guilt. It was January when I first heard the bell. Outside, snow fell like ash. I was in the main lobby reading an old mystery novel when the frozen clock chimed once. 12:01 a.m. Then again. And again. 12 times. I stood, heart racing. The clock hadn't worked in years. It was a warning. Then came the sound of pages turning. Fast. Like a windstorm rifling through 1,000 books. And then a whisper, clear and cold. Reader. I stayed seated. Clenched my hands. I remembered Rule 3. Do not go to check it. The air changed. Thicker. The ceiling lights flickered like candle flames. Suddenly, the return slot for the drop box slammed open. A book fell out. It slid across the floor to my feet. It was the same leather-bound book with the names. But this time, the last page said. Borrowed, Robert Hayes. Do, never. That night, I stayed in the lobby. The bell never rang again. I asked Mrs. Clennon the next evening. She looked at me like I'd confessed a murder. You listened to it, she asked. I nodded. She sighed. Most guards leave before the second month. She didn't say more. I think she used to be one. One Monday night, I found a book on my desk. I hadn't brought it. It wasn't from any shelf. Its title, The One Who Watches. No author. No publication date. I opened the first page. He thought the rules protected him. He was wrong. The book was about me. Every detail, my first day, the East Wing, the basement, the bell. All of it. But the next chapter was something new. He opened the locked drawer in the reference room. I hadn't. Yet. The reference room had been sealed for years. No key on my ring fit it. But after reading the book, I felt compelled. At 10:15 p.m., I went to the reference room. The door was slightly ajar. Inside, dust, overturned chairs, and a single table. On it, another book. Title, Return. It opened itself. A single page read. Do not read ahead. I closed it. Too late. I felt something behind me. Cold breath on my neck. I ran. That night, I dreamed of pages sewn from human skin, of books that screamed when opened, of 1,000 eyes blinking in the darkness behind shelves. When I woke, I was still at the desk. The book was gone. But on the monitor, the security footage had changed. It showed me walking into the reference room. Then it showed me never coming out. I've aged more in the past 3 months than in the last 30 years. My hands tremble when I hold a pen. My eyes see shadows even in light. Tonight, I arrived to find every book open. Every single one. Pages fluttered without wind. And on every first page, the same phrase. The librarian is coming. I'd never heard of any librarian working nights. At 11:59 p.m., the lights dimmed. The bell chimed once. And the front doors unlocked themselves. The clock ticked forward. 12 a.m. Then footsteps. Slow. Confident. Polished shoes on marble floor. I stood, flashlight in hand. But it wouldn't turn on. A tall figure stepped into the lobby. Dressed in an old-style library uniform, vest, gloves, gold watch chain. No face. Just paper where skin should be. Books began to close, one by one. The figure reached the desk. Placed a return slip in front of me. It read. Robert Hayes. Final due. Return to shelves. My body refused to move. My voice gone. He reached into my chest, not with hands, but with a feeling. Like pages being torn from inside. I collapsed. When I woke, it was morning. Everything was in place. Book shut. Doors locked. Except one thing, my name tag was gone. On the shelf behind the front desk, a new book had been filed. Title, The Night Guard. No author. No date. Inside, every page was blank, except one. Returned. I'm writing this entry from my home now, but I don't think I ever left. I hear pages turning when I close my eyes. Sometimes, I still see the figure standing by my bedroom door. And when the clock strikes midnight, the bell rings. So, if you find this entry, burn it. Burn the book it's in. But if you hear your name whispered from the stacks of Fairhaven Library after 11 p.m., don't answer.